our channel. I'm Keri and this is Doug. We sold our house about a year ago in the Denver, Colorado area. We almost sold everything that we owned. And we came out here to our 36-acre homestead property in southeast Arizona where we are homesteading and want you to come along with us and you can learn as we learn.
Yeah, we've been off for a couple weeks, not exactly from work, but from filming. But we have been filming, actually. We've been filming for the past 2 weeks. We just haven't been putting up any videos.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of excuses, like always. We got our excuses. We got our excuse passes.
It's been getting really hot. For those of you that live out here, you know what we're talking about. It's all of a sudden the last week we've just been creeping up closer to 100, and now we're over 100. We're about 102, I think, today.
Yeah, but the warnings are saying 105 to 118.
Yeah, generally for this area, depending on where you're at, which is not common for here. A lot of you might think of Arizona as being hot like that all the time, but this area is not. We actually have really nice seasons here, and this is definitely what we've been told is the hottest month. And with that, you also get a lot of wind, which basically makes it feel like a hairdryer. And we unfortunately are not in a situation where we have air conditioning. So we have a little tiny swamp cooler, what people call an evaporative cooler, set up in our RV. It doesn't really do much and it's hot. So we've been moving slow. Doug does really well in the heat. He can go out and work in the direct sun when it's 100 degrees, no problem. Not so much. I'm good for a couple hours and then I just can't do it for a long period of time. And then I've been struggling the past week with migraines. I don't think I've ever shared this, but I have a weird migraine disorder called hemiplegic migraine, and it's sort of a epileptic form of a migraine. So sometimes sunshine and bright sunlight and things like that can trigger me. And I've just been struggling the last week. I've had several. I had a really bad one, probably the worst one I've ever had. Like almost took me to the hospital kind of pain. But I'm doing better today. But that's just been kind of slowing me down. I've been just trying to not push myself too hard and not trigger another one.
Yeah, and the air quality hasn't been that good because there's been fires. I mean, we're up here kind of high so we can look off into the valley and see multitudes of fires here and there, but it really does hinder. It makes air quality really bad for people that do suffer from migraines, and that I think it's kind of a trigger.
Yeah,
in a way.
it might be. But things that trigger epileptics are kind of the same things that trigger my migraine. The smells definitely could be one. You have to climb up and read the measurements that we wrote on the top of the bags, because we don't have a perfect circle. But the other thing that we had happen, I guess it was about a week ago, we had a fire. We had a possibility that we were going to have to evacuate about a week ago. They're brush fires out here. But that just made us really start thinking about how to prepare for that. We already had kind of talked it through and had some ideas of what we would do, and we're actually, where we moved to on the property is better for that. We can get out quicker if we need to. We can just hook the trailer up and go, and we've got a plan for all the animals. That's really important to us. So we didn't have to, luckily, but there was the possibility, so that was stressful. 72.375 inches total. I mean 72.375 inches per section. Are you videoing? So we're just doing the math. So we don't have a perfect circle. So what we're going to have to do, usually you could, if your circle is perfect, you could just use an online calculator and figure out how big each section is going to be. Because we're doing 8 sections, so because our circle's not perfect, what we had to do instead was take the circumference measurement of the circle and get a total number of inches, and we have 579 inches all the way around, and then we divide that up by 8 sections, and that gives us, each section is going to be 72.375 inches to have perfect 8 perfect sections. Easy for me to say.
Yeah, so we're still new here in less than a year living on this property or in Arizona as a whole, and there's a lot of perceptions or how people perceive Arizona. Some people see, you know, the beautiful yards and the great swimming pools and the misters on them while they're having a drink at the bar, and that's true. There's a part of Arizona that's like that. It's called Phoenix or Tucson, but everywhere else outside of there, up here, we're in the high desert, which is, if you've ever watched the old cowboy movies, this is serious stuff here. It's not for the weak. It's not for the weak people. They can all go back down there to the other places, but up here, it's wind, it's dry, it's dusty, it's direct sun, no shade. It's gonna wear on you. It's probably gonna age us. There's our guineas going at it again.
Yeah, so I guess it's not unusual to have to do some evacuating this time of year because of the wind and then the extremely dry temperatures. Everything is just so dry. And the wind just takes all the moisture out, any moisture that's there. So it's really important to understand that when you're going to live out here.
And we're not complaining about the weather in Arizona. We know that it gets hot in Arizona, and we know that you know that it gets hot in Arizona. We're just telling you, we both come from way up north, so we both know what winter is, and I'm just blessed not to have to suffer another winter like I used to go through for the last 30-40 years, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely a trade-off, and I think from what we understand, this really intense heat doesn't last for more than maybe 6 weeks or so, because what's going to happen here pretty soon is the monsoons are going to start. And most of you probably know about the monsoons, but if you don't, we live in an area that does get monsoon rains every year. There's 2 monsoon seasons. The main one is about to start. It officially kicks off on June 15th. They do it by calendar.
Oh. Let's see if we can get a copyright strike on the video.
Oh gosh.
See how off it is already?
Oh yeah. They do it by calendar, and we could get them anytime now. So what happens is it's real hot, but then we get these monsoons that come up from the south, and I think they're coming up from the Gulf.
The Gulf and the Baja Peninsula.
Yep, it's bringing up all that moisture, and they
converge.
They converge, and then they just dump their water, and it's awesome because we can get a lot of water and rainfall that way for rain collection, which we're excited about because we can get a lot of water in a very short period of time. But the good part about it is when the monsoons kick in, is it'll help kind of cool this really extreme heat down a little bit. We've been getting heat warnings and extreme heat warnings on our phones and from the county, and just
and flag reports, which just basically means get ready to evacuate because you probably have a fire coming your way.
Yep. And so if you guys are going to live out here, or if you do live out here, especially if you have animals, there are 2 pieces to this that we want to just stress are that you need to really be aware of your animals and their needs in the heat, because they get overheated just like we do. And you know, if they don't have shelter to get out of the sun and they don't have fresh, clean water to drink, they can die. And so it's really important that you are aware of that, and it's also really important that you're aware of what your plan is if you do have to evacuate, because honestly, like, we had thought about it and talked about it a little bit, but we hadn't practiced it. And so when that happened, we're like, we need to have like a solid plan, and we have one now. But that's something that you guys need to think about too if you're going to live out here. The good part about these wildfires, though, is they're not real damaging. You don't usually see structures being lost. It's more burns the brush in the area. It's not like you can picture like a forest fire where it's just total devastation. Not that it's a good thing, but it also kind of cleans up the desert a little bit too, I think.
Oh yeah, so besides all those warnings slowing us down, Keri's migraines, and just having random fire alerts sending us off to, you know, sit around waiting whether we should be evacuating or not. We've discovered that our plants dry up really quickly around here. We're going through easily twice as much water as we started with when we first moved here in October or so. A cistern was lasting us almost 2.5 months, 3 months for 1,500 gallons, and now we literally blew through 1,500 gallons just watering plants in the last, what, 2 weeks?
No, it's been about a month, but that's also our own water consumption, and it's plants, animals, and our own water consumption.
Yeah,
so.
and we didn't have animals, remember? We just had the 2 rebels and a cat when we came out here, so that, you know, watering chickens and all that, they go through about 3 gallons a day, the chickens do. The big dogs, we don't know, probably a gallon or 2. But we've been learning that if you're going to work here, you need to do siestas. That's what the Lord, when in Rome, right?
Yeah.
So people around here, when it's high noon, they don't go out and they don't work on roofs, and they're not building hyper adobe structures at noon. They go inside and they usually take naps and stuff. So we've been learning to do that on our schedule while we've been building. We have been building. We've been starting to get up past the windows. We put in the headers. You'll notice in the video in the background that we put up, we installed the door jamb. At least the first element of the door jamb. We put in some wood there, some solid wood that will eventually accept the doorway and hinges and all that good stuff, the doorknob, of course, and we're going to build that anyways. That door is going to be pretty rustica. We've also put in some more cinder blocks for exiting the airflow out of this building.
We are getting up towards the top, but we're not going to finish that in this video. This video, we're basically getting all these side things done first, like the cement cinder vents, the faux beams, and the awning that goes here. We're going to pin all that down, cover up anything, and then we'll probably go up 2 more layers of bags, and then from there we'll start doing the rafters for the roof. So we're getting close, guys.
And we put in these things that are going to be questionable to a lot of our viewers. They're what I would like to call a meat processing hanger. That would be a good name for it.
Yeah.
It's going to be, the nature of it is it's just got to hold a lot of weight. Let's just put it that way, because we don't know what meat we're going to be processing on it, whether it's going to be sheep, pigs, goats, whatever. We're definitely not going to be hanging cows off of it, but it's going to eventually have a winch on it and 2 hangers to attach to the Achilles heels of the animals that we plan on processing. But that's going to be far in the future. We're just anticipating that we will be processing our own meat eventually one day. So we're putting this into the chicken coop on the outside. You'll notice that. And you'll also notice that we put in a turkey roost. And that's because when we started this, we didn't have turkeys, but now we have turkeys. And we decided that they need a turkey-esque throne to sleep upon.
Yeah, we also had a couple kind of traumatic things happen with animals the last couple weeks that we're going to share with you. So we got 4 turkeys from our friends, our neighbors, and 4 pretty small turkeys, young turkeys. Well, we had gone to town one day to do some errands, and we're letting them free range because turkeys have a higher protein need than chickens. So it's good for them to free range and eat bugs and things like that. So we were letting them, whatever they can eat. We were letting them free range. We came back and we were looking around for them, and we're like, where's the 4th turkey? We could only find 3 of them, and we're like, what the heck? Did it get, scooped up, or what's going on? So we're looking everywhere, and Doug finally ended up going in the goat pen, which is where you guys know we keep our livestock guard dogs. They stay in there with the goats, and found the turkey in the goat house. And the turkey was still alive, but just barely. And we had to make a judgment call. We considered culling it right there on the spot because it was pretty damaged. The dogs did a number on it. Unfortunately, livestock guard dogs don't understand that your birds, your chickens, your guinea fowl, your turkeys, ducks, all that stuff, they don't look at it as livestock. They look at it as prey. So this poor turkey somehow wandered in the pen. So we did some doctoring on it. We sprayed it down with some stuff. We made the decision to give it a night and see if it rebounded. And there was several times that night. We actually brought it in the RV and put it in the bathroom, and we thought it was dead, or we thought it was going to die. But nope. The next day it kind of started to perk up, and then the next day after that he started trying to want to come out of the bathtub, and we put him out. We fenced him out in the garden for about 4 or 5 days and let him continue to heal. Doug had some stuff in his first aid kit that we used on it because there was a chunk of there was no skin. You could see bone, and we're like, there's no way it's going to survive this. Well, it did. So he's back out with the rest of the flock, and he's doing just fine. So that was one thing that happened. And a lot of times you're not going to want to try to save them. And some people might say, oh, you should have taken it to the vet. We're not going to be taking our animals to the vet like that. We need to figure it out ourselves. That's part of being self-sustaining, right? And if we can try to fix it ourselves, we're going to try to fix it ourselves. So that worked out nice. The other trauma happened with the kittens.
Oh, yeah.
Doug can explain that story.
Oh, the kittens.
So the kittens were... So I'm going to tell you the story of our kittens. We thought 5 kittens from Clara, our outdoor barn cat, and we thought 3 of them had died. So about a week ago, they were starting to climb out of the little enclosure that we built for them, which that was okay because we knew that had to happen soon. Clara needed to be able to come in and go out as she needed to, so it was really hard to keep them secured, and they started getting really good at climbing and stuff. So last weekend we went to bed on Saturday night, and when we got up on Father's Day, we came out, and Clara was out here and 2 kittens were out here in the little patio area that we hang out in, and there was 3 missing kittens. So we looked and looked and looked. Doug spent probably half the day looking for them. We couldn't find them, and we just assumed an owl must have got them, or a coyote, or they followed their mom out for whatever reason and they got lost, or we didn't really know. I mean, it's really hot right now, so we also thought, if they're out too long and they don't have, water and stuff, they might have just dehydrated out, and it was really a bummer. We were really sad, and I was really sad. Doug was not as sad as I was, but I was kind of sad. So we went about for a couple days, and then I think we brought them in the RV, the 2 that were left. We decided we'll bring them in. I don't want to lose any other ones, and we'll just keep them in there until they get a little bit bigger. And that was interesting. But what happened was on Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday last week, we saw a kitten out here, and the 2 were in the trailer with me, and I'm like, wait, there's another kitten, and came out, checked out the kitten, totally fine, not dehydrated or hungry or anything, totally normal and fine. And I'm like, well, where have you been? So Doug, we talked about it, and he's like, maybe mom moved them somewhere. Like maybe she felt since they were climbing out anyway, she put them in a more secure place. So he had an idea that he thought that maybe they were moved up into one of our storage tents because we get a lot of mice through there. So that's where they were. So all 5 kittens were totally fine, and mom had been taking very good care of them. We just needed to step out of her way and let her do her outdoor cat thing.
Alrighty, so if you notice, we moved location.
we had to come down from up there in the building because my phone had overheated because I put it in the sunlight. So after a few moments in the freezer, my phone was taken out, and we are going to conclude this video. In between the wind speaking to us. Relentless. I think I'll just hand this over to Keri and let her finish this video.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for sticking around to the end and listening to our tale of woes over the last few weeks. We're going to get back to work here on the chicken coop here soon. Hopefully it'll start cooling off a little bit, and we'll have more to show you on the construction side of things. But we appreciate you sticking around to the end. We always appreciate a like if you like our content. And if you know anybody that would be interested in what we're doing or could benefit from it, feel free to share it. We always appreciate that too. So thanks, and we'll see you guys soon. Doug, why are you sitting like that, Doug?
Because in Arizona, all of your plastic things like to dry rot in the sun. And this is what happened when I sat down. But we'll see you guys next time. Adios.